Hey everybody, it's Eddie J on Crypto. Hope you're having a great day. So I was in the middle of my morning routine and, I come downstairs, hit the office, turn on the fireplace, turn on television, I have a lot of stuff automated. And then I turn on CNBC and then CZ comes on. And wow, I had a whole bunch of research that I was doing. I had a whole bunch of articles that I was writing up. And then I stopped to listen to CZ on CNBC this morning. And he went into a lot of detail about a lot of different things. I've got my notes, and excuse me if I have to reference them. But there's a lot to unpack. Let's start with regulation, right? I know everybody wants to talk about the whole FTX thing, and we'll get into that. Let's start talking about regulation first. He says, Binance embraces regulation around the world, especially in the United States. Binance.us, separate entity here, that really is licensed in 44 different states. That's not easy. You have to deal with the federal government and you have to deal with each state separately and distinctly. So that was one. Two, regulators right now are highly focused on know your customer and AML. Forgot what, anti-money laundering, right? So they're focused on that, but they're not necessarily focused on everything that actually affects the user, right? Focused on that, but not focusing on the user's money. That's really what he's saying. He's like, listen, you're not focused on, assets under management, those kind of things. Just, what are the guarantees that the user has that that the money is safe? What are the reserves? All that kind of stuff. He says that Binance takes a one third kind of approach. A third of the assets are held in fiat or fiat-like things. A third of the assets are held in, give me a moment, are held in stable coins, and a third of the assets, the last third, is held in large cap coins. Makes sense. Now you can, depending on your risk appetite, he says, you might, change up, how that all filters out. But one thing they do not do is they do not use their own coins and count them as reserve. Let that wash over you. They do not use their own coins and count them as reserve. That means that, FTX, for example, was using FTT tokens and was counting those FTT tokens as part of their reserve. Binance doesn't do that. He also said Binance has been profitable from day one, and they've got the records to prove it. So there's a lot to unpack with that. And he says, listen, there was a call from Sam Bankman-Fried. He wanted to talk, and he was thinking, well, maybe Sam wants to talk to me about, buying back all of the FTT tokens that they have as a part of the M&A agreement that they had a year ago. So basically, as a part of the liquidation of the investment from Binance in FTX, part of that payback was here are some FTT tokens, right? And that was the last piece. So he's like, yeah, we're going to sell this. So Sam was thinking, well, so FCZ was thinking, well, I thought he just wanted to call about, buying that back, right? No, he was talking about buying all of FTX. And he basically said, hey, listen, yeah, all the users' money is gone. Gone. So think about that. While he's on the phone speaking with CZ about buying out FTX, he's telling the world everything's fine. Over here, he's telling CZ money's gone. What? So he's lying all the way through to the end. And I know there's some kind of a recording out there now, about this. He was lying, allegedly. I have to say that. But looking at this, CZ was like, he kind of knew the deal was never going to go through. That's why it was non-binding. Looked at the books. Well, he didn't look at the books, but his people looked at the books and they were like, yeah, nah. Real quick. Nah, it's not going to happen. Right? And the team was like, should we be transparent? The idea was, yeah, we should be transparent. And that's when he dropped the tweet. Or just before that, he dropped the tweet, and then they went through, tried to do due diligence, and that just fell through. So looking at everything around the whole Sam Bankman-Fried FTX thing, Sam is trying to come out, saying, hey, I don't think I did anything wrong, blah, 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 wasn't me, it was Alameda, da, 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 da. You started Alameda. Yeah, you put Carolyn in charge, but there was no way in the world that you did not know. And CZ is basically saying, yeah, he knew. He knew everything that was going on. So whatever was in that recording, yeah, that reporter was used to paint a different picture, let's say. So, like I said, I had a whole bunch of stuff that I was going to talk about. I wanted to get into Genesis and Gemini and Grayscale. Well, actually, you know what? Let's get into that a little bit. Because, one thing that CZ did do, and I wanted to kind of touch on this, and I'll probably have more details as I go over my notes, because literally I was just sitting there typing down my notes. But there's a lot of stuff. CZ is saying, listen, regulation is good, right? There should be regulation. It should be better focused, and there should be clarity. And if you stop and you think about that, everybody is saying that. And there's one other thing that he said. He said, listen, and a lot of people get mixed up. BUSD is not issued by Binance. It's issued by Paxos, which is regulated in the United States. So what he's saying is listen, there are other exchanges that don't necessarily do what Binance does, meaning some of their reserve might be, part of that reserve might be coins they issued that they're counting as reserve. Binance doesn't do that. He says other exchanges don't do that. So clearly, when I tell you to do your own research, it includes not just the projects, but where you have your money. Right? So let's be clear. I'm not a fan of exchanges. I use them for specific reasons. Hence, I believe exchanges have a place in the world, right? I just use them differently. I say, well, I want to do a transaction. I think either the speed or the access or the cost is best done on a particular exchange. Period. And when I say exchange, I really mean centralized exchanges. Period. I handle my transaction and then I bounce. It really isn't that hard. But let's dig into Gemini, Genesis, and Grayscale. Genesis is a company, a sister company is Grayscale. No other connection. Then they have, a connection up here. Other than that, Grayscale is out the picture. Gemini and Genesis, right? Genesis provides services to Gemini, an exchange here in the United States, highly regulated, especially since they're in New York, and New York is one of the toughest states. New York, Texas, there are a couple others. Toughest states to have a license in, they have a license. They're highly regulated. So let's remove the FUD, okay? Genesis provides the staking services for the Earn program at Gemini. So Gemini said, oh, Genesis is having issues. Let's stop withdrawals on the Earn program because it's powered by Genesis. Now, if you really stop and think about that, they kind of had no choice, right? Genesis stops withdrawals. You kind of got to stop withdrawals. Genesis has to figure out what the heck is going on. Genesis is actually bigger than you think. They own companies like Coindesk. Sorry, they own CoinDesk, or at least have a piece of it. And other companies that are out there. It's really a big crypto lender. A really big crypto lender. And they ceased withdrawals because they're citing the failure and collapse of 3 Arrows Capital and now the compounded effects of FTX. Now I go back and I say, I'm saying it for a little while. What is it with people and not having a solid risk management infrastructure? I find that to be problematic, right? There has to be some sort of infrastructure where you know what's going on and how it's happening. Management of risk is a very big deal, both at the personal level, institutional level, banks, financial institutions. Everybody's got a big risk team. But somehow some of these other companies in the crypto space don't. Well, I'm pretty sure we'll find out, what's going on over at Genesis and everything else. And I'm pretty sure there was significant exposure to FTX. Unfortunate, because Genesis was a good company. They were doing their thing. Contagion is going to spread, and CZ agrees. Contagion is going to spread. But as things ripple out, the ripples don't get bigger. They get smaller. So is it a setback for the cryptosphere? Yes, it is. Will the cryptosphere recover from this and even grow from this? Absolutely. So there's no doubt in his mind that that's what's going to happen. So there's a lot to unpack. I can't get to everything right now. I'm still going through my notes. I'll do a regular video maybe later. There's still a lot. And even I'm unpacking it in my head. But it was very insightful. Very insightful. Anyway, ZDJ on crypto. Hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.